History is filled with enigmatic tales and puzzling events that have fascinated scholars and enthusiasts for centuries. Despite advances in technology and extensive research, some historical mysteries remain shrouded in ambiguity, their secrets seemingly locked away forever. From ancient civilizations and lost treasures to unexplained disappearances and cryptic artifacts, these unresolved questions continue to captivate our imagination. Here are 15 of the biggest historical mysteries that will probably never be solved, each one a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown. Number 1. Georgia Guidestones. The granite monument, often referred to as the American Stonehenge, was constructed in 1979 in Elbert County, Georgia. It is located in a field off Highway 77. The document includes 10 commandments for an age of reason, written in 8 different languages, making it accessible to a wide range of people. However, these are not commandments similar to those found in the Old Testament. Written on these 4 towering granite slabs, each standing and nearly 20 feet tall, are a collection of messages. Among them is a particularly thought-provoking one. Maintain humanity under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. What? What's even more puzzling is that no one knows who funded all this. The individual who took credit for the project used the alias R.C. Christian, and even the construction team involved in creating the monument are unaware of his actual identity. There are numerous conspiracy theories surrounding the monument's origins, including one that suggests it was commissioned by a secret society with sinister intentions. However, the truth behind its creation remains unknown, making it a captivating unsolved mystery that can be found alongside the road. Number 2. The lead masks case. On August 20th, 1966, a young boy discovered the bodies of 2 men while flying a kite on a remote hill near Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He quickly descended the hill and shared the information with the police. However, due to the challenging terrain, it was not possible for coroners and first responders to reach the hill and recover the bodies until the following day. Upon the arrival of the police and firefighters, they were greeted with an unusual and perplexing sight. 2 men were laying side by side, partially hidden by the grass. It was strange that every dead man was dressed in a formal suit, a waterproof coat, and a lead eye mask. The police were perplexed by the sight of individuals wearing a waterproof coat and a lead eye mask on the hill, as there seemed to be no logical explanation for their attire. Next to the 2 bodies, there was an empty water bottle and a packet containing 2 damp towels. Then, in a straightforward manner, there was a small notebook that contained a set of timed instructions written in Portuguese. Please be at the specified location by 1630. Take the capsules at 1830. After they take effect, protect metals and wait for the signal mask. That further unsettled investigators, naturally. Eventually, the 2 men were identified as Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana, both electronic technicians from Brazil. Families had last seen them 3 days before the boy discovered their bodies on the hillside. However, despite the potential for a coroner's report to provide valuable insights into the case, it unfortunately did not materialize in a timely manner. At the time, the coroner's office in Rio de Janeiro was experiencing a significant backlog of cases and medical exams. For several days, the bodies remained untouched, awaiting examination. When the coroner eventually got to it, the condition of their organs made it impossible to determine if the men had consumed any significant substances before they died. Since then, the discovery has remained an enigmatic and enduring puzzle. Number 3. Bird deaths in Arkansas. In 2010, on New Year's Eve, a peculiar incident occurred in the town of Beebe, Arkansas. Thousands of blackbirds suddenly became disoriented and collided with various structures, resulting in their immediate demise. It was unsettling when it occurred, but fortunately, there was a logical reason for it. Arkansas officials reported that the birds were startled by celebratory fireworks, resulting in them flying in various directions. It was an isolated incident that would not be repeated. Surprisingly, it happened again the following year, specifically on New Year's Eve 2011, despite the efforts to prevent any further harm to the birds by banning fireworks in Beebe. There were only 200 bird deaths this time, but it was still a strange occurrence. Theorists came up with wild ideas, as they often do for unsolved mysteries, suggesting that the bird deaths were a foreboding sign related to the Mayan calendar, indicating the end of the world. However, as expected, these claims turned out to be false, but no clear and comprehensible explanations. It hasn't happened since, but the cause of death for all those Beeb remains a perplexing enigma and one of the darker mysteries of the world. Number 4. Where is Jimmy Hoffa? The Teamster union leader, who had ties to organized crime, went missing in Oakland County, Michigan on July 30th, 1975, and is now believed to be deceased. We still don't know who killed him or where his body is. Despite extensive efforts by the police and forensic anthropologists, their search of multiple locations in Detroit and Oakland County has yielded no results. There was a theory that suggested Hoffa's body might have been buried beneath Giants Stadium in New Jersey. Unfortunately, this theory has been proven false. It is also unclear who killed him. Richard the Iceman Kuklinski, a hitman, alleged that he was responsible for the murder of Hoffa and disposed his body in a scrapyard before his passing in 2006. Philip Carlo had the opportunity to meet Kuklinski in person before his passing and documented his confessions in a book. Several police officers expressed skepticism about the confession during interviews with the media after the book was published. Over time, it becomes more and more doubtful that Hoffa's remains will ever be discovered. Number 5. The Mary Celeste. In the Atlantic Ocean, near the Azores and a few hundred miles west of Portugal, travelers discovered the Mary Celeste on December 4th, 1872. The Mary Celeste was a ship built in Canada and owned by an American merchant brigantine firm. The ship was loaded with valuable cargo and was intended to sail to Europe. Approximately 1 month prior, on November 7th, the ship departed from New York City with the intention of reaching Genoa, Italy. The Mary Celeste was discovered floating off the Azores by the Canadian brigantine De Gratia. On board, there were valuable provisions, including a full stock of alcohol, that were intended to be delivered to Genoa. It was eerie to discover that when the De Gratia approached the Mary Celeste, there was no sign of any human presence on board. The alcohol stocks were well stocked, and the crew provisions were also plentiful, indicating that there were no concerns about anyone going hungry or anything of that sort. In addition, personal belongings of the crew on the Mary Celeste were left undisturbed. However, the crew members who were supposed to be operating the ship were nowhere to be found. All of them had disappeared without a trace. No additional clues were provided in the ship's log, which had its last entry 10 days ago. The De Gratia discovered the ship while it was partially sailing, and surprisingly, its lifeboat was nowhere to be found. No one knows what happened to the men who had assembled in New York to work on the ill-fated journey of Mary Celeste. They were never heard from again. Number 6. The KGC. The Knights of the Golden Circle, also known as the KGC, were a clandestine organization of affluent Southern loyalists that emerged prior to the Civil War. Their primary objective was not only to safeguard their beliefs, such as unrestricted slave ownership, but also to expand their influence by annexing territories in Mexico, Central America, and Cuba, with the aim of establishing a Confederate empire. The organization had a significant amount of gold and weapons, and reportedly had some well-known members, such as Jesse James and John Wilkes Booth. According to word-of-mouth legends, it is possible that the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln was a plot orchestrated by the KGC from the very beginning. The KGC vanished a few decades after the war concluded, seemingly leaving behind a perplexing enigma that is yet to be solved. There is ongoing speculation that they have gone further into hiding and are still plotting to overthrow the US federal government. Oh, and there might be a hidden treasure somewhere, just waiting to be found or used to finance a potential second civil war if it ever happens. The gold coins found by a California couple in 2014 may have been hidden there by the KGC. Number 7. JFKs Killer. This remains an unresolved enigma in American history, leaving many unsatisfied. President John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas on November 22, 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald. However, there are some speculations that suggest he may not have been the only shooter. Before Oswald could stand by nightclub owner Jack Ruby, an event occurred on November 24, 1963. Ruby passed away from lung cancer on January 3, 1967. Many experts agree that Oswald acted alone in the assassination of JFK, and Ruby acted independently when he killed Oswald. Ruby's stated motivation was to spare Jacqueline Kennedy from the discomfort of Oswald returning to trial. However, there are still many professional historians, as well as amateurs, who disagree with this explanation. Since JFK's death, numerous alternative explanations have been presented by historians and amateurs. Considering that substantial new evidence is unlikely to emerge, it is highly unlikely that a firm consensus will ever be achieved. Number 8. The Flann Isles Lighthouse Mystery. During a storm on December 15, 1900, the Arctur steamship, traveling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Leith, Scotland, observed that a lighthouse on Scotland's remote Flann Isles was not functioning properly. After 3 days, when the Arctur arrived at Leith, they informed the Northern Lighthouse Board about the concerning lighthouse situation. Without delay, the board dispatched a relief ship to the remote Scottish Isle to investigate the situation. Unfortunately, the relief ship was delayed by adverse weather conditions, causing it to arrive at the lighthouse almost 10 days later, specifically on December 26th. Upon arrival, it was anticipated that 3 individuals would be present at the lighthouse: James DeCat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur. These men were assigned to carry out their duties at that particular moment. However, when the relief ship's crew arrived at the lighthouse at noon on December 26th, they were unable to locate any of the 3 men on the island. The mystery was unsettling right from the beginning. Firstly, the flagstaff of the lighthouse was devoid of any flag. Unfortunately, the lighthouse's provision boxes were not left on the landing stage to be restocked as they should have been. The men aboard the relief ship were unable to locate the 3-person crew of the lighthouse in the vicinity. Upon reaching the compound, the relief men discovered that the entrance gate was closed, the beds inside were unmade, and the clock in the restroom was unwound. They also discovered lamps that had been thoroughly cleaned and refilled, peacefully resting inside. The lighthouse's missing staff members seemed to have forgotten to bring the lamps along wherever they went. There was no trace of the 3 keepers found after that discovery. Furthermore, their bodies were never seen or recovered. The fate of the men remains uncertain. Even now, after considering various theories, such as the possibility of them starting a new life or encountering an unforeseen tragedy that led them into the ocean, their location remains a mystery. Number 9. Edgar Allan Poe's death. There are many questions surrounding the mysterious circumstances of Edgar Allan Poe's death. The writer was observed walking aimlessly through the streets of Baltimore, Maryland, appearing disoriented and visibly distressed. He was admitted to the hospital, but unfortunately, he passed away after a few days. When Poe's friend Joseph E. Snodgrass paid him a visit, the writer was unable to recognize him. His appearance was unkempt, with clothes that seemed to be borrowed. Poe was unable to provide a clear explanation of his condition, as he remained in a delirious state throughout his hospital stay. Prior to his passing, he consistently vocalized the name Reynolds, yet no one could decipher its significance. It is intriguing that there are no records documenting the cause of Poe's death. Some theories propose that his low blood sugar or delirium could have been caused by a failed drug overdose. Snodgrass was convinced that alcohol was responsible for his friend's demise. Some theorists believe that he may have been the target of a criminal act. Random individuals were coerced by gangs to vote for specific politicians they were affiliated with, and had them repeat the task multiple times. They would frequently force the victim to consume alcohol in order to make them comply. Regrettably, no detective possessed the same level of intellect as the characters in Poe's literature, and had managed to unravel this enigma, at least for now. Number 10. The Disappearance of Flight 19. 5 Avenger torpedo bombers, known as Flight 19, vanished without a trace on December 5, 1945, while on a mission near the Florida coast. Their fate remains a mystery. The 5 bombers were dispatched for a training flight from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale in South Florida. During the flight, the main navigator in the first plane became confused about their destination, causing them to lose track of their direction back to the mainland. Unfortunately, the planes vanished without a trace, and the 14 men who were part of the crew on those 5 planes that day were tragically lost forever. In addition to the already dire situation, a Martin PBM Mariner flying boat was sent out to search for the men in a recovery mission. Tragically, the aircraft and its 13 crew members were also lost during the search for Flight 19. There have been numerous theories regarding the events surrounding Flight 19. There are theories suggesting that the mysterious incidents in the Bermuda Triangle were responsible for the disappearance of those planes. Others claim to have been attacked and abducted by aliens, or have come up with even more outlandish explanations. One widely accepted theory suggests that Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor, the flight leader, encountered difficulties in navigating when his compasses malfunctioned. He mistakenly believed that a group of small islands located east of the mainland were actually the Florida Keys to the south. He proceeded to venture further into the vast ocean, leaving the shore behind. The Navy officially believes that the PBM search aircraft was lost in a mid-air explosion during its search mission. It is quite puzzling that no traces of the aeroplane wreckage or any other items were ever discovered. There were no signs of wreckage or remains found, leaving everyone clueless about the fate of the planes and the men who perished in them if they were indeed resting at the ocean's depths. It is highly unlikely that we will ever fully understand what happened to the crews and the exact sequence of events that day. Number 11. The Treasure of Dutch Schultz. Dutch Schultz was a notorious gangster during the 1920s and 1930s, known for his involvement in bootlegging alcohol and the numbers racket. However, similar to other gangsters, he had a strong feeling that someone would attempt to shoot him. Similar to many gangsters, he possessed a significant amount of wealth. He concealed it, somewhere between $5 to $9 million in cash, gold, and jewels. He placed it inside a sturdy container, drove it to a remote location in the Catskill Mountains near Phoenicia, New York, accompanied by his bodyguard Lulu, and buried it. Perhaps he even made a mark on a tree nearby with an X. As expected, he met a tragic end when he was shot and killed in a New Jersey chop house in 1935. The existence of his treasure, if it is indeed real, remains unknown. It's simply a matter of someone noticing a tree with a prominent X on it. Number 12. Is the Copper Scroll treasure real? There's another ancient treasure tale that remains unresolved. Archaeologists discovered a copper scroll in 1952, among other Dead Sea Scrolls, at the Qumran site. The writing was etched onto a copper scroll, as the name implies. The scroll contains a significant amount of concealed gold and silver treasure, to the extent that certain scholars doubt its existence. The scroll can be traced back over 1900 years, to a period when the Qumran area was under the control of the Roman Empire. At the time the scroll was written, there were several revolts against Roman rule. Scientists believe that the treasure was hidden to protect it from being seized by Roman forces. The truth behind the existence, location, and discovery, and current status of the treasure remains an unsolvable enigma. Number 13. Amber Room. The Amber Room was more than just a room. It was a true masterpiece. The walls were adorned with amber and gold leaf, complemented by mirrors, gemstones, and intricate carvings. The size of the room was over 55 square meters, and it held an impressive amount of over 6 tons of amber. During the Second World War, Germany dismantled the room and moved it to Königsberg, now Kaliningrad. After the city was bombed, the Amber Room disappeared and has remained elusive ever since, with ongoing efforts to locate it. Number 14. Were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon real? Writers from the past have described an extraordinary collection of gardens that were built in the ancient city of Babylon, located in present-day Iraq. The exact date of construction for these gardens remains uncertain, but they left such a profound impression on ancient writers that they were hailed as a marvel of the world. In approximately 250 BC, Philo of Byzantium described the Hanging Gardens as having plants grown above ground level, with the tree roots embedded in an upper terrace instead of the earth. Up until now, archaeologists exploring Babylon have not been able to locate the remains of a garden that matches this description. Archaeologists have been left pondering the existence of the Hanging Gardens. In 2013, Stephanie Dallin, a researcher at the University of Oxford, put forward the idea in a book that the gardens were situated in the Assyrian city of Nineveh. Throughout the last 20 years, both Babylon and Nineveh have experienced significant destruction due to conflicts and theft. Unfortunately, it appears highly improbable that the enigma surrounding these events will ever be completely unraveled. Number 15. Who Jack the Ripper was. Even after a century and a half, the identity of Jack the Ripper remains a subject of speculation. In the late 19th century, there was a notorious serial killer in London who gained infamy as the Whitechapel Murderer and Leather Apron in the press. Due to the unknown identity of the killer and the high crime rate, it is difficult to determine which victims were connected. However, there are 5 victims that are believed to be attributed to Jack the Ripper. During World War II, a significant number of police reports were lost. However, the surviving records reveal that over 2,000 individuals were interviewed, upwards of 300 people were investigated, and 80 individuals were detained. Unfortunately, no definitive conclusion was reached regarding the identity of the killer. What do you think about these unsolved mysteries? Do you have any theories or additional mysteries to share? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. See you in the next video.